We're good to go.
All right. We are back in the smoke pit tonight with Bernard Taylor. He's running in Florida Congressional 21. My name is Katie Torback. I am the president of 5051 Vets. I am also an Army vet and Jacksonville native. Rory?
How's it going? I'm Rory, 5051 Vets Comms Director, Army vet, and I'm in North Carolina.
And Bernard, introduce yourself. Tell us your history, a little bit about your platform. Just go for it.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Bernard Taylor. I'm running for Congress here in Florida, District 21, covering St. Lucie County, Martin County, and Palm Beach County, Florida. I am a husband, father, and firefighter paramedic here in my district. I'm running to bring a new way forward for the people here in my district.
All right. Uh, I do a lot of research into our candidates, and I met you in DC on 11/22. I met you in the streets of DC when we were pushing forward to lead the march. And I was happy to see a bunch of people running for Congress out there in the streets with us for that action. So I'm glad that you're here. I know you have been on Sons of Liberty with Admin Tim a few times, and
Hmm.
we're all really good friends with Sons of Liberty, and Rory lives locally. So let's get into it. You describe your candidacy as service driven rather than political. How does that philosophy shape the policies that you prioritize?
Well, it centers people. It centers the people in my district. It centers who politics is supposed to center, which is the voter, the people who put you in office. I believe my career in service and my career as a public servant has given me a unique perspective on just how people are what people are feeling right now, the needs of my community, and how my community and many other communities around this country have felt ignored by the same old from politics. Um, it's a lot of um, it's a lot of double speak. It's a lot of just saying what people want to hear. It's a lot of talk and no action. I hope and no, I know that through my actions and through my work in the community, whether that's through my volunteer work or through my actual work in my career, I've proven that no matter what I do in life, I always try to be a servant to people and put the needs of the people before my own.
Can I ask you, what made you like, what made you want to run? Like, what was your like defining moment of like, that's it, I'm just gonna do this?
Seeing the conditions of my community. Again, I'm in all different households from all different walks of life, from all different races, genders, colors, ethnic groups, socioeconomic status. I see it all. I see the highs, I see the lows, and I mainly see a lot of lows. And I see how politics directly impacts the community. I have a very unique perspective over most of how politics can directly impact your community, especially when you're talking about healthcare, being that I transport a lot of people to the hospital. And, we have conversations, and you talk to people about how they don't have insurance, so they can't afford insurance. So some of the things that they're dealing with, they have to use the emergency room as their primary care physician. Some of the diseases and health issues that they have, they could have had probably avoided had they had a primary care physician, but because healthcare is so expensive, they're to the point right now where it's too late to where something that could have been preventative is now an emergency. I've seen the policies of politics actually cause people to lose their life. Had an instance where one of my regular people that I run on was a diabetic. Um, and unfortunately, he's no longer here with us because he can no longer afford his insulin. So we were kind of running on him a lot because he was having trouble regulating his sugar because he was rationing off his insulin. He was in a state of hyperglycemia for too long. And when you are in a state of high blood sugar for an extended period of time, it causes you to eventually go to a lethal cardiac arrhythmia and eventually in a cardiac arrest. So, again, policies affecting people. They're not just numbers on the sheet to me. I see people. I see how they struggle. I see how the decisions of people who could care less about them affect them, and I wanted to be a catalyst for change.
Healthcare, we believe healthcare is a right. Our group does. But you emphasize affordable healthcare. What concrete federal actions would most quickly reduce costs for families in your district?
A single payer healthcare system by far. We need to get to a single payer healthcare system. The average American pays for their healthcare 7 to 10 times through various um, different channels. Excuse me. Whether it's your co-pays, your premiums, your taxes that get taken out of your check, the levies that are placed upon your homes through properties from the hospital. Um, different taxes through your property taxes. There's so many different ways that the healthcare industry takes a piece from you. The closer we can get to just having to pay one time instead of 7 to 10 times, the better it's going to be for all of us.
I can agree with that. And from your experience as a first responder, where do you think that the healthcare system fails people before they reach emergency care? Is it in the
um,
the lack
it's just
of
the
general
lack of
health care?
access. Yeah, the lack of general healthcare access. Again, just being able to see a primary can stop a lot of people's conditions from getting worse. But for the simple fact that you can't afford to have a primary care physician because you can't afford insurance. Like a lot of things could be avoided if you could simply just see your doctor regularly to catch some things that you might think are small, but would potentially lead to something big had you not caught them. So just as the just overall access to healthcare is the main thing.
Yeah, and I did notice mental health is pretty big on your platform. And as veterans, we take mental health really seriously, obviously, with the rate of suicides within our communities. Um, how would you expand mental health care in underserved communities within your district through policy?
Fully fund programs that actually expand those resources through the community. Right now, we're seeing with our current administration and government, I think just today they cut even more resources and funding for mental health programs, for drug addiction programs, for alcohol addiction programs all across the country. So, for a government and a people who say that they care about their citizens, anytime we are dealing with a mass shooting, it's always mental health, mental health, mental health. But your actions are not reflective upon the things that you say because you continue to take away resources from these programs. We need to be adding resources and making sure these programs have the funding and the capabilities that they need to serve the community. Because again, when you have those resources, you mitigate a lot of potentially catastrophic things.
Yeah, we know that in our community, right? Like our
Absolutely.
communities are extremely similar, first responders and veterans when it comes to mental health crisis and lack of care. And so I commend you for that, for wanting to expand mental health care. Uh, just because this past year we saw so many, you know, first responders with like mental health care first responders of the call-in service line at the hotline,
Mhm.
the veteran suicide hotline, be fired. And then the ramifications of that was multiple veterans killing themselves in VA parking lots this year. And so we know that it is directly tied. So I do commend you. One of the things that we worry about is the burnout, though.
Yeah.
Even within the VA system, right? Like we don't have enough healthcare providers in the VA system. And that's why community care was created. And most people don't understand that community care was created because of the mental health crisis within the veteran community. It was their response to 22 veterans a day and the Phoenix VA suicide scandal. And so we know burnout is real because now with community care being opened, veterans are not only taking up space within the VA healthcare system, they are taking up space in the civilian healthcare system as well. So how do you think Congress should address burnout and long-term health risks for first
Oh,
responders
absolutely.
and healthcare workers?
No, absolutely. I had a situation in my own department where we had a guy take his own life at the station, came in to the bunk room between his two coworkers and took his life from just again simple burnout, stress, combination of different things, personal and career wise. So we see it, like you say, it happens around us all the time, every day. We need to be making sure that we all have the resources in order to combat these things because again, this stuff is real. You know, PTSD is real, burnout is real. The struggles that we face, whether they are personal with our families, whether they are on calls that we see, like you have to be strong with a lot of things, but it's only so much thing. It's only so many things a person can take. So we need to be again making sure that there are ample resources to not only serve our communities but to serve the community in general.
Yeah, we agree with that. And, we are familiar with PTSD as a subset of society. And we always ask candidates that we platform a few questions and asks from the veteran community. So within the VA for PTSD, you have to get evidence-based therapy. And what that means is there are certain therapies that are allotted through the VA that are like, you can get them. A friend of ours, of mine, I've known for years, just got psychedelics passed in Phoenix on the state level. And I am open to a myriad of different therapies for PTSD because after all of these years with all of these therapies, veteran suicides are still at 22 a day. So therefore, we're
Mm.
still not fixing the actual issue at hand. And so would you, as an elected Congress member, be open to other non-evidence-based therapies through the Veterans Health Administration?
Absolutely. Again, I'm open to all legal avenues to help anyone any way we can because, like you say, 22 is way too high of a number. And if there are solutions out there, we need to be trying to explore all solutions that we can that are legal, of course.
Yeah, and I know for us, I've been a veteran now since 2014, so 11 years, over a decade, and not seeing any real change, right, within that number. And I still lose friends to suicide. What accountability measures would you support to ensure like federal health programs deliver measurable results?
Again, just accountability and oversight. Like whatever program you institute should have some level of oversight to keep people accountable. We know, unfortunately, that there are bad actors in every sector of life, whether that's in the private sector, whether that's in the public sector. It is incumbent upon us as elected officials to actually conduct real oversight, and not only just oversight, but oversight with teeth, oversight with consequences. People tend to do better when they know consequences are real. When you just, quote unquote, have oversight, but you don't have any teeth behind it, what's the incentive to do right? What's the incentive to make sure the program is working like it needs to? So we need to, as elected officials and as leaders in the community, to not only hold people accountable, but also bear consequences that that let people know that we are real serious about what we're trying to do.
Speaking of accountability, uh, obviously, everybody knows what's going on around the country right now with ICE agents. We just saw a citizen shot 3 times in the face. A mother, Renee Nicole Good, lost her life. And we as veterans believe in accountability. We have a federal force uh, going through the streets, terrorizing communities, now killing people, kidnapping citizens, kidnapping mothers, fathers, workers. Uh, what kind of accountability would you like to see for these ICE agents in the street that are causing terror.
I need them to be held accountable to the full extent of the law. Right now, they are operating as if there is no accountability because there is no accountability, and they know there is no accountability. You know as well as I do, as you as a veteran and me as a first responder, we are more careful about our actions when we know we could be held accountable for them. We are quick to think, not only think twice, but 3 or 4 times before we do anything because we know we will be held accountable for our actions, whether that's violating policies, whether that's violating the law, our everything that we do, there's accountability behind it, even when we're trying to do the right things. Like I said, as a veteran, policy is policy, whether you're trying to do the right thing or the wrong thing. So we know for a fact that policies are being violated every day, along with just basic humanity is being violated every day. And unfortunately, there's no accountability and no consequences for those individuals, which makes them even more dangerous because they know that they will not be held accountable by this current administration, which is why when we get back in control, when good, decent people get back control, it can't be, oh, you know, we just on to move on. Like, no, the hammer needs to come down so that nothing like this could ever happen again.
We agree, right? I want politicians as mad as I am about what is happening in this country, right? Is we are terrorizing people, and that's a good question. Like, what accountability to me, Bernard? Like accountability, they need to be in prison
Oh,
because
jail, 100%, 100%. I'm
this
talking about
is
thrown under the prison, 100%.
this is outrageous. Like the worst of our society now have jobs within the federal government and are kidnapping people and violating the Constitution because we're a nonpartisan group, right? Our group's nonpartisan. Uh, what binds us and our group is our oath to the Constitution. And right now, the Constitution is just being blatantly ignored. So are the courts. And you have these unvetted, untrained terrorists in our streets. And accountability for us is naming them all. And before you hopped on with us, right? Me and Rory, we were talking backstage about the ICE lists that have come out.
Mhm.
And Rory, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you tell me that the Proud Boy guy is on the list?
Yeah, according to it, the old leader or current leader, I don't know if he's yeah,
Enrique
Enrique.
Tario.
Yeah, apparently
Mm,
Enrique's on it.
not surprised. Not surprised. I'm per like I'm like most people because again I believe most people have a semblance of intelligence. Like we all understand who these people are that ICE has hired. They're most of the people that were involved with January 6th, most of the people who are involved in these groups, these supremacy groups around the country. As you can see, it's awfully suspicious how these groups have suddenly disappeared the more ICE agents we have on the streets. So I'm not a big fan of coincidences. Um, I'm very good at 1 + 1 = 2. So we see what's going on. We know that standards have been lowered. We know that training standards have been lowered. Education standards have been lowered. Fitness standards have been lowered in order to get as many of these guys um, with a gun in their hand as possible. And it is unfortunate. We know why they're trying to do it, and I'm just hoping we as a we as a people don't fall for the bait.
I think for me, and I'll speak for me, I won't speak for our group for a sec. um, I think for me, accountability is not only ICE agents, but there are like humans, a lot of humans, and a lot of veterans rooting this on. And I'm not sure if it's, that collective mentality and brainwashing. Um, but that ideology is dangerous,
Yeah.
right? And it has been going for generations. And I saw a hat at an ICE protest I was at the other day that said, "Make racists afraid again." And I like that hat. like this type of ideology has no place in our society. Like you can believe
That's
it
what.
that we fought for that,
Mhm.
right? You can believe it, but it should not be mainstream, and it definitively should not be in our policy.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's one of those things that people kind of just was like, we're gonna move on and just, it happened. It won't happen again. We're just gonna let it be. Just like, we go way back with the whole Civil War. Like there was really no punishment for those in the Confederacy. Just like there was really no accountability for the people in the civil rights movement, those people in the textbooks that we grew up, reading and studying in school. Those people in those books are real people out here in this country, and they had families, and they had children, and they raised those children. And those children are the result of what we're seeing today. So these types of ideologies and these types of things, and granted, like you said, you fought for the right to everybody to feel how they want to feel and express themselves accordingly. I don't believe you fought for it to be as mainstream as it is right now and to be as a definitive part of our policy as a country.
Yeah, and I think one of the other problems is religion. Uh, we're big Constitution people, like I said, so we believe in the separation of church and state. And I believe over the last 20-ish years, there has been more Christian and ideology injected into our policies. Don't get me wrong, I grew up conservative Catholic. I went to Catholic school my entire life. And I think Jesus was a good guy. Great story. I also don't think that we should have the 10 Commandments in schools, right?
Yeah, I'm
And
I'm I'm right there with you. My faith is my faith. I believe what I believe, and I believe in the teachings of being a good person and doing right by everyone. But I also believe that you don't have to believe what I believe. You can live your life, and I can live my life. I can tell you what I believe, and if you decide to follow, that's great. But I'm not gonna force it upon you. That's not my job. My job is to live my life and walk in his teachings and hopefully as an example. It's not my job to force it upon anybody. And I think right now a lot of people use religion to justify their own personal ambitions and greed and goal, and it's not right. I know. Well, I don't know because I remember the book I read. I read many different versions, and the person in that book that threw his life down so that we may all be forgiven. I don't think he would align with some of the things and teachings that we are seeing today. It's just from the book I've read. Maybe I read the wrong one.
I always tell people, I went to Catholic school my entire life. You taught me the Beatitudes, and now that I actually live them, you find it offensive. And it's extremely strange, and the cognitive dissonance is real,
It's weird. Yeah.
rightfully so, right?
Like, yeah. I mean,
But I,
empathy and caring for one another was, like that's the strength. His strength was in empathy and caring and compassion, and the ideology of those today is all that is weakness. And I'm like, what are we doing? So it is a very strange perversion of the things that I grew up learning. Um, but again, it just goes to show you why it's important to study for yourself, and learn for yourself what was actually said. And again, don't want to get too religious on this thing, but if you follow the teachings of Christ, you know that a lot of the things that are happening right now are the complete antithesis of what he believed.
absolutely. I also think we've had a few candidates on here now, and I think it's time that we tax churches, especially because a lot of churches espouse political ideology from the pulpit.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. If they're going to be not abiding by that separation, they should be taxed 100%.
all churches though, to include like Scientology,
Every one
anything.
of them, 100%. Every last one of them.
Yeah, I think it's time. Because like I said, I grew up Catholic, and I'm not a practicing Catholic. I haven't been in many years. I'm gay, and so like practicing Catholicism.
Doesn't fit the mold.
And but I do know that the Catholic Church is the largest landowner in the entire world.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But I like that comment I just saw. We're better off taxing them because at least the money will actually go to the places that the church was supposed to be putting their money towards. Um, I mean, the one thing I always, I tell people all the time, it's like the one time you saw Jesus get mad is when he saw the greed of the church and he came in there flipping them tables over. And it's not a coincidence that after that is when, you know, the Romans got involved and we had the whole crucifixion. So it wasn't until he went in there in the church flipping them tables out about them people being greedy that they decided it was enough of him. And it's poetic how that still correlates to this day. It's all fun until you get in there and start upsetting the money, and then they want to get rid of you.
Yeah, and I always I have learned over time it is more money oriented than anything, right? And
No,
so,
absolutely, absolutely. We are actually about to get a call, so I got time for one more question. We vibrating.
all right, and then we will definitely reschedule to
Absolutely.
finish up. So I know that you want to fully fund education. Do you think I'll just make it quick and we'll get further into it. Fully funding education for veterans. One of the things we get for education is BAH. It's a housing allowance with ours, with our education. So do you think, will you support us keeping that housing allowance if you do free public education for all?
Absolutely, 100%, man. We have a ICE budget of $150 billion, and we're about to have a defense budget of $1.5 trillion. The country invest in the things that they want to invest in. And right now, they want to be the number one military power in the world. Imagine what this country could be if we wanted to be the number one educational country in the world or the number one in healthcare. We have the money to do whatever we want as a country. It's what we choose to prioritize and invest in, which is why I'm running, because I want those priorities to change from what they are now to what they should be, which is the people here in our country.
And we believe the same. So we'll get into that next time and we'll break it down because
Absolutely.
we want to abolish ICE and the DHS and reallocate that funding. And so we'll get into it. Please be safe out there. I know that you are
I
out there
will.
in the community, and we support you, and let's reschedule.
All right. Thank you. I look forward to talking to you guys again. You guys stay safe.
You too.
You as well.